Hey, so arc raiders, right? I know about 1,000 other creators are talking about arc raiders right now, but I want to talk about it for 2 of 3 reasons. 1, I want to. 2, it's been a while. And 3, because my opinions on extraction shooters are better than everyone else's. So Arc Raiders is pretty dope, and the first things that I'm going to bring up are things that I like how Arc Raiders is very pretty. I mean, I was running the Xbox version of the tech test, and it's just great. The terrain and the general atmosphere of Arc Raiders is just fantastic, and that alone kind of had me feeling relatively immersed. The way they handle like the lighting, going from a sunny day outside and then turning into a dark building or like an underground area, it feels very dynamic, and I love that shit, okay? It's a beautiful and striking game, and that alone helps it kind of stand out from the others. To me, Arc Raiders kind of feels graphically like Once Human and a mix of DMZ or Vigor, which I absolutely enjoy. They even have night raids, which I forgot to get footage of, but it's very dark. And when you run into a guy hiding in the silent darkness of a warehouse, you may need to buy some new underwear. Embark Studios did a great job of making the terrain in Arc Raiders feel alive, with a lot to be explored. Each map, and I think the tech test had 3 different maps, but each map has a variety of different points of interest, and you feel very urged to explore them. At your own risk, obviously. Next up, let's talk about controls and movement. Overall, very smooth. For me, it kind of felt like playing Gears of War, mixed with a little bit of Once Human, in the way that momentum kind of feels heavy, but not like encumbering. Like if you've seen any of my videos on Vigor before, you know that I kind of talk about the Vigor wiggle. Look at that wiggle. Such a good wiggle. And that's because in Vigor, if you just perfect wiggling back and forth, you're pretty much untouchable to like 90% of the player base. And that's due in part to the gun mechanics and the movement mechanics not really being in balance. But this doesn't really feel to be the case in Arc Raiders. You can't just wiggle back and forth in Arc Raiders because you're just gonna get absolutely blasted. Is it gonna help? Yeah, but the best way I can put it is that movement in Arc Raiders feels smooth, from sprinting to vaulting or sliding downstairs, and it's definitely got some tricks to learn with it. But to me, it feels more like something intended to get you from point A to point B, rather than something specifically used to trip up your opponents in battle, even though it can be used to do so. So graphics are cool and shiny, movement is smooth and easy to learn. So now let's talk about the combat. There seems to be a decent variety of weapons in Arc Raiders, and I'll be honest to say that I haven't had the chance to use every available weapon just yet. But what I can say so far is that combat can feel difficult at times, but not in a bad way. The guns in Arc Raiders don't seem to be tuned so much for combat as much survival, which makes sense in context, so I'm not like mad about it. But what I mean is that you better make your shots count. Especially with the early weapons, it kind of reminds me of like Hunt Showdown with reload times, which causes you to have to think on your feet if you miss your shots. I also had a slight issue with how the game felt on controller compared to mouse and keyboard, but I found that getting rid of the dead zone setting on controller made the game feel so much snappier and a lot easier to handle. And when it comes to like the PvE enemies, I actually like the bastards. And I like how varied they seem to be in terms of like what they do or how you can kill or escape them. You got creepy ass little spider things, big ass creepy spider things, a squad of different drones to piss you off, and even like event bosses that show up on different maps. And other things I'm sure I haven't seen because, you know, the game hasn't released yet, but I like them. It feels like the Generation Zero I actually wanted. I really enjoy how the team at Embark has handled their take on the extraction shooter genre with Arc Raiders so far, but I do have some issues with it. And oddly enough, maybe y'all can help clarify a few things for me. So the gameplay loop is solid, right? Like it's real good. From what I've played so far, I could easily see Arc Raiders taking over the every other day routine that I have with the Vigor. But I think Arc Raiders is going to fall into some problems that I've seen all too often with extraction games. And it's 2 things specifically, but follow me on this. So the skill tree, right? I think it's cool on paper, but I think it could be detrimental to the game as it currently is. Because say you have like the cats that can play 28 hours a day for whatever reason. Well, what happens when you have those guys with maxed out weaponry and gear and shields going up against people who are just starting out? Now, I don't know if they have like seasonal wipes planned, and I can already hear you guys in the comments like, oh, this guy doesn't know about skill-based matchmaking. And listen, my sweet little look, come here, let me smooch you on the forehead. Now, I admit, skill-based matchmaking works pretty well during the beginning stages of the game, but later on in the lifespan, you're either gonna have to deal with higher load times, or you're gonna have to deal with people who are kitted out with like heavy shields and all crazy weaponry, just clowning on people who have just started or are maybe still climbing in the journey. Which I know, get good, yada yada, And there is the free loadout mode, which is fantastic. Love that there's not even like a cooldown on it so far. But these are just things I think about whenever I'm thinking about like adding a game to my cycle of things. Like what kind of longevity does it have? I don't know if there will be wipes. Let me know. Which brings me to my next problem, which is probably the biggest problem. Why are we doing all this? And I mean literally though. And good God, I have talked about this exact issue with so many games in the extraction genre. What's the end goal for all the looting and stuff? Does it all lead back to PvP and being able to survive better in PvP and shit? Or is there an end goal? I was super excited to see that there's a skill tree and a workshop you can upgrade, because typically games will choose like one or the other. But do they both work towards the same ending? Just being able to survive better in the game loop? Because typically that just leads to people who have already like maxed out their stuff before or prestiged or whatever you want to call it, having nothing really better to do than to go into matches and specifically hunt people down. Because again, that's all that's left for them to do. And that ends up pushing away newer players who now have an even tougher time surviving, because not only do the bots want to kill them, but maxed out buck wild TTV is hunting them down before they can even get to a point of interest. So many good extraction shooters get tossed to the wayside after a short period because their sense of progression sucks. And while Arc Raiders does a lot of things right, I feel like unless they add like, I don't know, some type of raid mechanic or PvE squad-based encounters or something that makes people want to upgrade their skill tree and their workshop and stuff outside of PvP, the gameplay loop of Arc Raiders is going to eventually start losing its shine and losing people's attention. Something to build towards outside of PvP does wonders for any type of game in the extraction genre. But again, all too often, I've seen the genre focus way too hard on the PvP side of things rather than the PvE or looter side of things. But all in all, these are just my early thoughts on Arc Raiders, and I cannot wait to see how this video ages in the future. Because I'm going to be playing the damn doodly out of it, and I hope you guys are too, and maybe want to join me. You know, come stream snipe me and shit. But I wasn't kidding when I said I wanted like you guys' help or like to clarify some things on this. Like, am I wrong? You can tell me if I'm wrong about this. I mean, it's kind of the point of the video. But if you made it this far, you know the spiel. Like the video or click my other buttons. I'm Half Metal Fox, and those are my thoughts on the early stages of Arc Raiders. Oh, hey, little pizza fella, I almost shot the shit out of you. Sup, fellas? Sup,
Don't
fellas?
waste your ammo and knock him out.
What the fucking why? Ha! Fuck! Dude, it almost got him. Okay, the drone's paying attention to him.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, he just got fucking...
Oh my god, there's the dude right there.
Dude, he turned that corner and I fucking ended him.
Rockets!
Whoa! Goodbye, Panic! Oh!
Get in here!
Oh. Hold on.
Get in!
I'm healing!